because I think we're gonna go up that.
Okay.
So,
Did you get my email?
Yeah, I have to decide.
Okay, I just want to make sure you got it.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm going with 27 through school.
Well, no, I'm talking.
I'm just gonna move cheese.
July 11th. Yeah, no, I know, I want to do it all.
I know, right?
But I think it's gonna work. Okay,
Great.
Don?
John is doing the.
Taking in, everybody's here.
I
I don't get to know you. Welcome. Have you done it before? Yes. Yes.
Oh, God.
Okay.
Well, welcome.
Thank you. So bad. Are you staying there? True, stay at the hotel.
I'll have class.
Or just Fort Lauderdale.
So I've turned everybody's maps, because we usually do a circle for this class, and then we have enough room to go that way. Yeah. And then if you want the props, obviously if you don't, you can do the whole class without them. But if you want props, it just makes it a little more cozy. Yeah, usually bolster blanket, and I think we have enough for 2 blocks. Yeah, take one.
What? Well, it doesn't work. Look.
Me too. I'm really feeling.
Well, you know what, so maybe.
I
know, they were talking about.
That's what's so beautiful.
Oh, you look so great on you.
Oh, thank you.
So that.
Yeah.
Okay. No more.
Erin or Claire? Yeah.
Is anyone at home? But yeah, if you want to use them, it just makes it more comfortable. You could take a bolster, a blanket, and a block. Right here. Yeah. I know. Jesus.
That's what it is.
It's a barn. I'm
You know what's weird? Is so my son not sitting outside. He'll get to meet.
I know. I get it all.
I shouldn't say that either. What's your A?
Go.
All right, are we ready, everybody? I gotta rein you in or you'll talk all day. You know that.
Yes.
Rein us in. Let's start in Supta Baddha Konasana, lying on the back. That's a minimum. So if you want some upper body, you could grab opposite elbow above your head. If you want a little more of a back bend, you could put the bolster or a block underneath your back. And sometimes it's nice to do it without anything at all. Just allow this first pose to help you kind of set your intention. I know a lot of you were doing classes before, or maybe you were rushing to get here. So just acknowledge that you made it here. There's nothing more you have to think about right now. Just let go. That's the name of the game in this style of yoga, is learning how to let go. idea how much I was holding on to until I started doing this type of work. So it can often be very confronting. It can often be more challenging than some of our harder, more intense yoga or workouts. But just know that if it is challenging, it's probably the very thing you need more of. When things get quiet, and they will, because I don't like to talk through this whole class. I like to give you time to meditate and relax into it. But when things get quiet, notice where your mind starts to drift. Do your best to stay here in the room, in your body, in the moment. Take a few more breaths here. Now, if you have anything under you, you might want to just move those props out. So you have a flat back on the floor. Just bring your feet down on the mat, your knees together and your feet apart. Now we're getting into the outer IT, the piriformis, the abductors, the IT bands. If you don't feel it enough, just keep widening your feet. They might go wider than the mat. Your knees are leaning in towards the other one so that they're not really they're not having to hold on. They're just kind of resting on each other. Take 2 more breaths here. Gently start to heel toe your feet together. Plug both knees into the chest. You can rock and roll on your back, kind of circle out your knees and your ankles. There's no right or wrong, just kind of explore and move around as you feel necessary. Bring yourself up to a seated position. So I'm going to add the blanket under my hips just for a little cushioning. You certainly don't have to. You'll slide your feet apart. Now make sure you don't go too wide because we're just starting to warm up. So I don't want you to feel this on your inner knees in those little ligaments, right? You should be feeling it more on your inner thighs. So if you feel it in your inner knees, that's a sign that you're too wide. So just shorten your stance so you start to feel it in your groin. And then you could just stay sitting, or you could start to lean forward. If you have a bolster or blocks, you could start to maybe lean on those. let maybe your elbows hold you up, but there's no effort in there. You just kind of can relax into it. Let your head hang. If that bothers, if you have any cervical spine stuff, you can always use the block as a support. But I love the feeling of my head just hanging. It feels like there's strength compressing my cervical spine. But again, it's all personal preference. And you knowing how to take care of what you need today. Maybe your lips can fall away from your teeth. More breaths. Keeping your back rounded, your head heavy, turn the palms into the floor and start to walk yourself up. Start to finish abdomen, bringing it together. Maybe let them flop side to side. And you could swing your feet back, coming into it. Tabletop. You might want the blanket under your knees. Wrists are under your shoulders for a few rounds of cat-cow. So inhale, drop your chest. Exhale, round up chin. And inhale, drop your chest. Exhale. Take one more in. To neutral, bring your knees, your feet together. Curl the toes under and sit back. Now you should never feel this in your knees. So yeah, use some blocks, something to provide support so you're not crunching your knees. It should be all toes, right? Just let your arms kind of rest in your lap. I actually like sometimes to let my arms hang on either side of my legs. And if you can really like drape your arms, you might start to feel a stretch across your traps and your shoulders. You might notice your knees unwillingly kind of sliding forward. That's just a sign you're getting deeper into your toes. Final breath. Those are always easy. Now you can sit back so that the tops of your feet are down. Again, you might need that support for your knees. This time we're targeting our shins and ankles. Now I don't feel anything usually when I do this, so I need to add a little elevation so I feel a stretch. You may or may not want to try that. But so block or knee could work. I mean, what? Block or bolster could work. So now you're starting to feel it through your shins and ankles, yeah. But what you don't want to do is let your ankles naturally slide apart. You don't want that to happen because then that's putting pressure on those little metatarsals that we don't want to put weight on. They're not meant to bear weight. So try to pull your heels towards one another. Yes. And so it may feel more like you have to, like, you can't really relax fully, but you're going to feel a better stretch. So maybe. Try to squeeze, yeah, and just work on that. How does that feel? Yeah. Just let your arms dangle, let your head be heavy. If you feel like you can keep your heels together, you might have that again, but just make sure, you know, your heels try to stay somewhat. Lift your head, remove any of those props. Lean forward, so watch your ankles. Drop into your elbows in space, so hips are on the floor, legs are long. Good. Now try to, this is a little engaging at first, so pull your hips towards your elbows and your shoulders back. Now when I stay in this, I feel quite a bit of pressure in my lower back. You don't want that, right? So instead, slide your elbows a little further forward and let your lower ribs come onto the floor. Now try to pull your shoulders back and your chest forward. So now hopefully you're feeling a little more extension through your thoracic spine or mid-spine, which is a difficult place to stretch. Because usually we move a lot through our upper and lower spines. You feel the difference? Good. Take one more. Now you're just going to relax your head and let your head hang, let your legs fall away from your feet. The only thing holding you up are your elbows, right? There's no engagement here. You might even kind of jiggle out your legs to make sure they're not clenched or working at all. Sometimes it can be so subtle, we don't even realize we're gripping. The final breath in. Gently lift your head. Let the right arm underneath your chest. So the back of the shoulders on the mat. And then bring your left hand onto the floor. Your right ear will stay down on the mat. Slide your left knee towards your right wrist. Good. Now start to reach your right hand over to the left, and you're going to start to lie on your back. So it's a spinal twist and a shoulder stretch. but keep your left knee on the floor. Good. Now you can, like, I always like to kind of play with the position of my left arm because I feel like my arm responds quickly to this. So after a few breaths or so in one position, I may not feel it that much through my chest anymore. But if I just move my arm up or down like an inch, it can bring a whole new sensation in. So don't be afraid to kind of explore a little, knowing that that's different than fidgeting. Notice something so simple as maybe squeezing your lips together. And you relax your jaw, your face. Always taking a mental body scan once you get more settled in each pose. See what else you could relax and let go. Nobody else can tell you. It's up to you to figure out where you're holding that tension. Slowly start to roll onto your belly. Slide your left leg back to meet the left. Bring both hands back by your hips and slide your left ear on the floor. And just lie flat on your stomach for a few moments. Just letting all that shift and unwind. Notice the natural curl at your fingertips. Maybe you feel like your cheek resting in the floor. I was almost giving you like a little facial massage. I love that feeling. gently bring your arms to your shoulders. Lift your chest back up. Slide your elbows forward back into that stance. Just for a transition. So now we'll put the left arm under. The back of the shoulder comes down to the knee. Slide your right knee towards your left wrist. And start to lean your shoulders onto the mat as you reach your left arm to the person to the right. And then start to extend that arm. Yeah. Trying to keep your right knee anchored into the mat. This side might feel entirely different. We know they always do. Take a few more breaths here. Slowly start to unwind. Lie on your belly again. Slide your arms back by your hips. And turn the right ear down. Just allow everything that's touching the floor. Almost feel like the weight in that is giving you a nice little compression and massage. shoulders, push back to child's pose when you're ready. Knees could be together for more of a lower back relief, or knees apart for more hips. Maybe bring your arms back, knowing you just did a lot of shoulder work. Or if your arms are staying forward, at least keep them relaxed as possible. Take a few more breaths here. Start to extend your arms forward. You can come up to the tabletop. Step the right knee forward. You might want your left knee prodded up a bit as we go into dragon pose, otherwise known as lizard. In yin, all the poses have different names, just to make it fun. So yeah, this is actually called dragon. So you might be able to go to your elbows, certainly don't force it, but that's just a way to get deeper. You can also use a block as sort of a nice halfway point if going straight to your elbows is too much. Remember, you never want to go too deep into a pose and then have to back out early. Try to really go gentle in your approach. Your knee can fall out to the right, your foot might slide out. Just kind of let your leg go where it wants to. Not so focused on alignment in this practice. sort of bend and straighten that front leg a few times, maybe. Simple, but back into the hips. Yeah, you might want a down dog, a child, something in between. We're gonna go right to the other side today. When you're ready, you can set up the left side. See what else you can relax.
Yeah, just 2 more breaths.
Start to bend and straighten that front leg. You can push back to child. Set up for frog pose, so you may want your blanket open so it's longer. So I would open it so it's like this halfway and then fold it the long way. You have a nice cushy mat, so you're good. Plus the floor is really nice. Yeah, that's good for you. And then put it along your mat. Sure. Yeah, we can face to the left. And you might want a bolster or blocks under the bolster so that you can really soften. So you'll just turn to the left side. Let your knees slide apart. The bolster will be, if you can go that low, to rest your chest. So if those are pretty small bolsters. So you could make the bolster higher by putting a block under the bolster so that it's higher and you can rest your chest. It's not necessary, it's just a way to relax into it if you want. And now you can play too. I like to keep my feet somewhat wider But you can also play with your feet closer together, and that's way harder. So feel free to adjust your feet. You're really just letting gravity take your hips as your knees slide apart. Try not to fall forward too much here, you're too far forward. Instead, just let your knees slide apart. So maybe you don't go all the way to the bolster. You're still pretty far forward. And then instead of going, yeah, just like, yeah. There it is. You're so focused on the difficulty or the sensation that you're feeling in places that feel tight. Instead of focusing so much on that, focus on your breathing. Learn how to shift your perspective. Isn't that a great tool for our everyday lives? Because we know the world's trying to scare us. It's trying to make things magnified. But may we stay grounded in the truth, in the good, knowing that good always overcomes evil. So it's interesting how our minds can be such a simple tool of learning how to connect to that. This practice can be a great training ground. See how good you are at focusing on the good, especially when you're put in a really uncomfortable position. Take a few more breaths, we're almost finished. With each exhale, see what else you can let go. Start to roll out of it ever so gently. Ooh, yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Nice job, ladies. Shake it out.
Oh. This is a good one.
We need 5 minutes. Felt long though. But so that was 5 minutes, but it felt long. All right. Double doozy. We're going into double doozy.
Okay.
again, I like the blanket because I just feel like my sitting bones like dig into the floor. So you can use it for padding. And then let's do the right foot on top of the left. Remember, you can always sit on a wall if you have trouble like sitting up and this is a really difficult pose for you. Yeah, so you might want to lean back on a wall and it'll kind of help you feel more relaxed. You can also sit on a bolster.
Someone told me if I just go a little further down.
Yeah. So what you
Oh,
gotta do
actually,
is-
I'll do the fingers.
Yeah, fingers in between the toes is like a game changer. Because it really helps to relax that hip. I just do the top foot, but I know some of you like to do both. You could do both, whatever you want. It's, yeah, top is, and it keeps that top, that other arm free to maybe kind of lean into your top. So it becomes like a nice self-assist. So what you could do is put a bolster under your legs to help, or you can start to fold forward. But bring your top foot forward a little more, yeah, and let your top foot hang off the edge of your body. Like bring that top foot out. No, not forward, out. Yeah, not that much. Like half of that, okay. Now bring your bottom foot forward a little bit. That might have been a little too much. And now start to fold forward. You should feel it now. Yeah, she just has crazy open hips.
I have crazy clothes too. I'll give you a little bit, give me
Alright.
I'm like, hello, maybe when I'm 90. I know. I can't. Better to kind of keep this thing down.
Well, really, it's just for you trying to just relax into it. It's not about alignment. It's just about like letting yourself kind of fall into it. And the flexible people, even though you might not be feeling it that much, you're still reaping the benefits of the poses and the shapes and learning how to let go. And actually, flexible people in this style really want to do like 50% of their flexibility rather than going like full. Yeah, good. Because the flexible people are usually the ones that get hurt. So you have to go even gentler. I know it sounds crazy to those of you that feel tight, but it's true. Notice even with holding your toes, can you soften that grip? Soften your jaw, your shoulders, your belly, your legs, your hips. More breaths. Start to just unwind those fingers. Just lean back a little, in the transition, a little more comfy. You might kind of rock your side to side. We're gonna go right into the other side, unfortunately. Yeah, just get it over with, right? Yeah, this is a doozy today. The sun is kind of nice, but- So when you're ready, set up the other side. Yeah, usually we always do your side. One of you was off. so are our emotions. And all of our emotions have been like on a roller coaster ride, right, lately, right? So it could be why we're feeling it maybe a little more today. Just remember that all that tension that we've kind of held on to over the past few months, we have an opportunity to release and let it go. We don't have to keep walking around with it. Now is the time to soften, to detach, heal. Final breath. Release those toes. Lean back. Yeah, keep breathing even through the transition. I know it's a lot. Keep it out. Shake side to side. Now just a nice, juicy, restorative back bend. So you could put the bolster underneath your back. If you want a little less, you could put a block under the bolster. If you don't have a bolster, you could use just the block. I'm actually gonna do even more hip work, because I just feel like I need it. So I'm gonna lie back and put my paw under my butt cheeks to release my hip flexors. So that's another option too. Yep, just let your legs extend out, let your arms fall open. This is our final pose before Shavasana. So just really relax. Let your body just soak into those props, whatever you may be using. Whenever you feel like you've had enough of that back bend, feel free to take the props out and find your way to final Shavasana. I'll let you decide how long you want the back bend. startle anybody, I'm just gonna press your shoulders down. If you do not want that today, it's no problem. Just place one of your hands on your stomach. You don't have to get the assist. Some movement back into the body, some awareness back into your breathing. Pull out the fingers and the toes. Push up over the head. Put the knees in. Rock and roll. Up to seated whenever you're ready. Now it's come to prayer. We always close our practice together with gratitude. Remembering to choose peace over conflict, to choose love over fear, and to choose patience over self-righteousness. I appreciate all of you coming out today. Have a wonderful day. God bless. Namaste.
Namaste.
Yay, thank you. That was awesome. Good. So I'm doing the YIN teacher training. You may have heard at the beginning of class we were talking about it. That's down in Fort Lauderdale, middle of July. Then the following weekend, I'm headed up to Georgia on a retreat. If you're interested, Blue Ridge Mountains. We rented an amazing house and doing that with another teacher. She's amazing, Kim Coletti, who I don't think any of you know. And then Isle Morada in August. I rented a house on a private beach with a private pool, and we'll just do lots of yoga and fun, yeah, water stuff, whatever you want really. So let me know if you want details. It's all on my website, flowyo.com. Flowyo, F-L-O-W-Y-O. So like Flowyo does that. It's similar to what you're using. Good. found it, you know, yeah, I saw you modify it, yes.
Backdoor and I did what you asked, and then I said, I wasn't feeling
Yeah,
as much.
so, yeah, you know your body better than
Anyway, I wish I could take that.
Thank you, Amanda.
What do you think? You were able to stay?
It was so tough though. It's really hard for me to be still.
Of course.
That's what I think.
I'm working
More
on
of
it.
that is-
Yeah, we all need more of that.
And this is why I do this a lot. Because otherwise, I just might get too much and it's just always on the go.
Yeah, we're Americans, we're lunatics.
Right.
In the best way, but you know. Bye.
It's hard. You know, underneath, they still can't even relax.
Really?
Are these ones for it?
Stop this recording.
Having coffee.
Oh, how'd you feel? Over here.
Yes, perfect.
It was so wonderful.